Midoriya, My Hero Academia. Izuku Midoriya, also known as Deku, is the main protagonist of the My Hero Academia manga and anime series. Even though Izuku is born quirkless, he manages to catch the attention of the legendary hero All Might due to his innate heroism and a strong sense of justice, and has since become his close pupil as well as a student in Class 1A at UA High School. All Might passed on his quirk to Izuku, making him the ninth holder of One for All. Welcome to the Amagi. In today's video, we're going over the life of Izuku Midoriya. Before we begin, we publish a new video every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell icon to get notified about our latest videos. The Amagi's reach stretches beyond just this channel, so if you're a fan of us, please consider subscribing to our other channels and following us on all of our social media accounts. Help us reach our goal of passing 100,000 followers on all of our accounts by the end of the year. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Background. As a child, Izuku greatly admired heroes and dreamed of being a hero like his idol All Might once he got his quirk. However, by the time children his age manifested their powers, Izuku still showed no signs of developing any special abilities. Due to that, his mother took him to a doctor from whom he received the terrible news that he has 2 joints in his pinky toe, which meant he would never have a quirk. Later on, Izuku kept watching videos of All Might that night on his computer and tearfully asked his mother if he could still become a hero. She hugged him and apologized, words that Izuku would remember as not what he wanted to hear because they made him feel inadequate to those with quirks. Even so, Izuku still kept aiming to be a hero and to get into UA High School. This ambition led him to be constantly bullied and ridiculed by his childhood friend Katsuki Bakugo and his classmates who believed it was impossible for someone without a quirk to ever become a hero. Despite this, Izuku still considered the two of them to be friends at the time, always following him around. However, things escalated when Izuku tried to help Katsuki after he fell off a small bridge into a stream. Izuku offered a helping hand, but Katsuki's pride caused him to take this as an insult. He believed that Izuku made him appear as if he needed aid from someone who was beneath him. This would strain the relationship between the two for years to come.
6% of U.S. retail businesses have a black owner. That needs to change. So I did something. I created a Black Business Accelerator at Amazon. And now we have a program that's dedicated to making tomorrow a better day for Black businesses.
Entrance exam arc. Izuku is attending class at Aldera Junior High while his teacher announces that all students will graduate this year. Once his teacher announces that Izuku is attempting to get into UA as well, Katsuki is shocked and furious. He berates Izuku and uses his explosion quirk to scare him, claiming that someone who's quirkless can't get into UA and can't do anything at all. After class, Katsuki takes Izuku's hero notebook, burns it, and tosses it out the window. Izuku leaves the classroom to retrieve his notebook and recollects about how he started dreaming about being a hero as well as how he found out about his status as quirkless. The same day, while walking home, a villain fleeing the scene of a crime encounters Izuku. The villain had apparently escaped All Might earlier in the day. The villain decided that, to avoid detection, he should take over Izuku's body. Just as Izuku fell into despair, All Might showed up and saved him. Stunned, Izuku asked for an autograph but finds All Might left it for him before he could ask the questions he had on his mind. In an effort to get All Might to stay, Izuku latched onto All Might's leg and hung on while he launched himself into the air. After a brief struggle, All Might agreed with Izuku that he would die if he had let go, and they soon landed safely on a rooftop, where Izuku asked if he could become a hero without a quirk, telling All Might that he always wanted to be a hero and save people. Suddenly, All Might's appearance drastically changes to a more skeletal, skinny form. Small Might, if you will. All Might reveals to the shocked young man that he was injured in a battle 5 years ago and can only stay in his hero form for a short period of time. He goes on to tell Izuku that professionals must always put their lives at stake to save the day, and thus cannot openly say whether it's possible to be a hero without a quirk, as it may not be possible. He tells Izuku that it's not bad to dream, but warns him not to obscure the facts, and then leaves. Devastated at the words of his idol, Izuku starts reconsidering his dream of becoming a hero. His thoughts are interrupted as he gets near the scene of a villain attack. Izuku recognizes Katsuki as the victim being possessed by the sludge villain that had attacked him earlier, and feels guilty that he might have accidentally let the villain escape from All Might's possession. Izuku, having looked at Katsuki's pleading eyes, rushes towards the villain, attempting to save Katsuki despite being quirkless. As the sludge villain prepares to attack Izuku, All Might, inspired by the boy's action, shows up and defeats the villain before Izuku could get hurt. The pro heroes at the scene started berating Izuku for his reckless behavior. Katsuki became so mad that he was nearly saved by Izuku that he caught up to him and told him that he wasn't saved by him at all before angrily walking away. All Might appeared and thanked Izuku for reminding him what it means to be a hero, and then explained that what he did was what most top heroes did in their younger days. This made him tell Izuku that he can become a hero as he offered him the chance to become one. All Might tells Izuku he's worthy to inherit his strength and that he has the power to transfer his quirk to people. To Izuku's shock, All Might then begins to train him at the Takaba Municipal Beach Park by moving large pieces of garbage around, such as trucks, large office drawers, various craters, and bookshelves. He explains Izuku has to train his body to be strong enough to withstand the power of his quirk, otherwise it can result in Izuku losing limbs. After 10 months of intense training, the day of the entrance exam arrives. At 6 o'clock in the morning, at the last possible second, Izuku moves the final piece of garbage of the entire beach. All Might is amazed as Izuku cleaned the whole beach and commends him as he cuts off a piece of his hair and gives it to Izuku, who is surprised he has to eat it, receiving his first dose, a very small piece of One for All. However, because the entrance exam is so close, Izuku must hurry to the school without getting used to the power. Izuku arrives at UA for the entrance exam, excited that he'll be able to have a chance at becoming a hero. As he runs forward and trips, Izuku is saved by a girl's quirk. The girl says she's nervous, and asks if he is as well, to which he replies with a nod. Later, during Present Mike's presentation of the exam, Izuku gets called out by Tenya Ida for his endless mumbling, which he considers improper behavior. As the practical exam is about to start, Izuku gets intimidated by Tenya once again, this time for acting suspicious towards the girl he met before. Tenya berates Izuku, which garners attention from the applicants who mumble to themselves how Izuku resembled a failure for his behavior. During the practical test, Izuku tries to destroy a one-point robot, but finds himself too afraid to even move. Yuga Aoyama appears and destroys the robot. Izuku realizes that he's running out of time. Suddenly, a huge zero-point robot appears and begins destroying the area. Izuku tried to run away, but then he sees the same girl who helped him before on the ground, about to be attacked by the zero-point robot. Seeing her in danger, Izuku mustered up the courage to fight the robot and for the first time uses One for All and attacks the huge robot with a devastating punch which completely destroys it and saves the life of the girl, while shocking everyone else with his feat. However, Izuku's bones immediately break due to having never used it before, and he begins falling. He tries to use Detroit Smash to land safely, but before he could activate it, the girl, whose life Izuku saved, uses her quirk to allow him to land safely. The practical test is declared over, much to Izuku's sadness, as he didn't get a single point before he passes out from exhaustion. While unconscious, Izuku is called amazing for taking down the giant robot by his peers, who wonder if he was intentionally looking weak, with only Tenya noting how Izuku selflessly protected the girl. Luckily for Izuku, Recovery Girl then heals his heavy injuries almost instantly. 1 week later, Izuku receives a letter that will determine whether he was accepted into UA or not. Izuku opens the letter in his room, and a screen with All Might on it appears. He apologizes for not contacting Izuku earlier, and informs him that he will be working as a teacher at UA. All Might tells him that he did fine on the written test, but that he scored 0 points during the practical test. Izuku accepted this and prematurely assumed he failed. However, All Might tells him that because of his heroic actions during the practical test, he earned 60 rescue points from teachers, meaning he passed and therefore has been accepted into UA, much to Izuku's joy and happiness.
With triple the beef, triple the cheese, and triple the bacon, I call this burger.
Quirk Apprehension Test Arc. Izuku, now a student of UA, talks with his mother before leaving home to his first day at the school. As he arrives at Class 1A, Izuku hopes not to see either Katsuki or Tenya again as he enters the classroom. He finds his fears realized as he witnesses both Katsuki and Tenya arguing with each other, much to his frustration. Tenya approaches Izuku, apologizing for his treatment, and congratulates him on his feat during the entrance exam. Right after, Ochako arrives at the classroom, with her cheerfulness embarrassing Izuku. While observing the scene, Katsuki recollects about a skirmish he had with Izuku about the results of the UA entrance exam, with the latter managing to show courage against his longtime bully after being threatened. This is followed by the homeroom teacher, Shota Aizawa, coming into the classroom and explaining to the students about the quirk apprehension test that they must go through. Shota further explains that whoever gets last place in the test will be expelled from UA High, putting massive pressure on Izuku. The students are tested on the power and use of their quirks through several exercises under Shota's observation. But because of his lack of control over One for All, Izuku is unable to use it in most of the trials, which leads him to performing below the standards set by his classmates. When the time comes for the ball pitch trial, Izuku, left with no choice, tries to throw a ball as far as he can using One for All, but Shota stops him by erasing the quirk. Izuku recognizes him by his goggles and powers as the hero Eraserhead. Shota tells the student that, with a quirk like One for All, Izuku will be nothing but a burden by putting himself in danger several times, and that if he doesn't find a way to prevent One for All from massively crippling his own body, Izuku's future as a hero will be put in jeopardy. Shota then allows Izuku a second chance for the pitch trial. Keeping Shota's words in mind, Izuku powers up only the end of one of his fingers and launches the ball at a considerable distance. He shocks his class with his display as he tells his teacher he's still standing, as Shota is impressed with his feat. Izuku, because of his broken finger, underperforms through the remaining tests, eventually getting last place. However, after showing the results of the test, Shota reveals that he lied about the expelling in order to motivate the students to give their all, calling it a logical ruse, much to Izuku's shock. While Shota is leaving, he sees All Might, who tells Shota that he knows that he was actually planning to expel last place from UA. All Might then concludes that Shota sees the same potential in Izuku that All Might sees. Shota shrugs off All Might's words and says that the chance of Izuku becoming a great hero is higher than 0, and that he doesn't see anything more than that, claiming to expel Izuku if he sees his chance ever fall below that mark. At the end of the day, Izuku is joined by Ochako and Tenya, with the newly formed trio walking back home together, where Ochako tells Izuku that his insulting nickname of Deku, given by Katsuki, sounds like the Japanese word for you can do it, causing him to adopt the nickname. To Tenya's surprise, Izuku explained his views of his name has just changed. Battle Trial Arc. As the hero class starts, All Might tells his students to wear their hero costumes and head to Ground Beta. Izuku reminisces about the time he had to order a costume of his own. It turned out that Izuku's mother had made the costume herself by hand after looking through some of her son's annotations, feeling guilt for previously not believing that Izuku would become a hero, and promising to always cheer for him from now on. Wearing said costume proudly, Izuku stepped into the training field. Izuku gets teamed up with Ochako and is tasked to stop a team composed of Katsuki and Tenya from blowing up a fake nuclear bomb. They successfully infiltrate the building and look around the corners to see if anyone was coming, where Katsuki ambushes them. Izuku manages to save Ochako from Katsuki's attack, but half of his mask is burned off in the process. As Katsuki is about to attack him again, Izuku intercepts him, grabs his right arm, and throws him to the ground, knowing that he would use his right arm to attack. Izuku tells the surprised Katsuki that he memorized his moves, as the same notebook Katsuki blew up and threw away in the past contained notes of heroes he's analyzed, which includes him. Izuku announces that he's no longer the Deku who was a loser, but the Deku whose vibe is never giving up, much to Katsuki's fury. Izuku tells Ochako to go on ahead while he fights Katsuki, who tries to attack him again. Having predicted that, Izuku evades and manages to grab Katsuki's leg with the capture tapes, but Katsuki breaks free using an explosion. Knowing that he's at a disadvantage, Izuku retreats in order to think of a plan and contacts Ochako to learn about her location for the strategy. Eventually, Katsuki finds him and attacks Izuku with a greatly empowered explosion move provided from his printed ear bracers. Izuku survives and calls Katsuki insane for doing that. Izuku decides to use his quirk and informs Ochako to grab onto something instead of hitting Katsuki. Izuku aims his Detroit Smash into the ceiling, destroying the ground of every floor above them, including the one Ochako and Tenya are on, but Izuku is forced to take the full brunt of Katsuki's explosion. Izuku is then taken away on a stretcher to have his wound attended to by a recovery girl. After spending most of the day having his wounds healed, Izuku returns to his classroom. As he enters, Izuku is commended by many of his classmates for his performance during the battle trial. Ochako asks him if he's alright, to which he replies that he's fine. Izuku then asks her where Katsuki is. Although many of his classmates try to stop him, Izuku goes to find Katsuki. After Izuku finds him leaving school, Katsuki accuses him of coming to gloat. Izuku instead tells him his secret, that he obtained his quirk from someone else in order to convince him that he had not been deceiving him, but the latter doesn't believe him and swore to defeat him. USJ Arc. Izuku is confronted by a reporter from the media asking him questions about All Might, but Izuku makes an excuse to escape from the reporter. In class, Shota Aizawa makes a remark